the former president raising his fist in defiance after an assassin's bullet ripped through his ear during a rally in Pennsylvania.
So the sudden hail of gunfire killing one rally goer, 2 others still listed in critical condition at this hour. Those 2 victims remain in the hospital in Pennsylvania.
We are going to replay the video of the shooting for you in real time. So it runs about 2.5 minutes. Let's all watch it together.
I don't even want to see it. But all we can say is that, what's today? Saturday, July 14th, moment in history, is the day that Donald Trump secured his election win in November. There's no way people are not going to vote for him. Now, I hate seeing the shooting part, so let me see. I might just fast forward through it because it's that horrific.
Something that said, take a look at what happened. Oh.
You heard the Secret Service saying, what are we doing? What are we doing? Horrific.
Move his hair. Hold. When you're ready, on you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the stair. Stair, get ready. Stair, get ready. You ready?
I don't know how people are saying that this was staged, that all this was made up.
Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
We're clear. Let's go. Let's move. We're clear.
Come on.
Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we got to move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay,
Watch out.
Wait.
You got the hat. You got to carry the hat. Look at the Secret Service agent trying to holster her gun, going through hell. Trying to figure out how the gun works.
A moment of history. We probably watched that 20 times between last night and today. And each time you watch it, you see something different, including this. A chilling photo from the New York Times as you see one of the assassin's bullet flying right past the former president's head. The gunfire mere centimeters from what would have...
That's an epic picture. Now, I don't know how people are saying that this was staged when you could clearly see the gun bullet right there.
been a fatal shot.
Doug Mills of the New York Times took that photograph, and we are hoping that he'll be able to join us tomorrow on his way here. He's taken many moments in time, and as Evan Vucci, who took the AP photograph, said, as a still photographer, you do not get a second chance at a photo like that. The FBI identifying the shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. The Secret Service killed him shortly after he opened fire. Witnesses spotted him on a nearby roof, and it was roughly 150 yards from the former president's podium.
So as you can imagine, things evolving by the hour, sometimes by the minute. That's a live look at Bethel Park, PA, about 40 minutes away from the rally yesterday. That is where the shooter is from. Here's what we know. Authorities recovered an AR-style rifle from the scene. The FBI has raided his home in Bethel Park. Our cameras set up outside. We're watching for more action throughout the day today. How he managed to get so close is now the subject of a sprawling investigation. The Butler County DA says he did not have any criminal record. Selena Zito is reporting on the rally, a Secret Service agent shielding her on the right from the gunfire. We'll talk to Selena in a moment live.
It's such a powerful image, and we can't wait to hear from her. We do have Team Fox coverage. David Spun is covering the investigation from Washington. But first, let's go to Alexis McAdams. She was there yesterday, and she's there on the scene in Butler, Pennsylvania today. Good morning, Alexis.
Dana, Bill, good morning. Yeah, we were up on that media stage, so pretty close to where the former president was speaking. It was a hot and a humid day here in the swing state as thousands of people waited in line to catch a glimpse of the former president. He was only up on that stage for a matter of minutes before he was nearly assassinated by a gunman who was up on a roof right at this building here behind me. And that was only about 2 football fields away from where the president was speaking.
You know, presidential assassination is things that you see in movies or read about in books like history. But today, 2024, an attempted assassination, we are making history. Insane.
So a lot of questions again this morning as people all try to piece this together and exactly how the shooter was able to get so close to that Secret Service area that had been closed off for hours. So we're trying to figure that out. People, though, are still replaying what happened as we heard what sounded like fireworks. Pop, pop, pop. You saw the president go down behind that podium. And this is what people had to say. Watch.
There was maybe 6, 7 shots. And then looking up in the bleachers, there was a guy administering CPR. There's blood all over everybody around.
We heard something that sounded like a firecracker, and we turned around, and there was people behind us, and it was 2 of our guys, I think, in camo uniform shooting back.
I felt really scared for him at first, especially when he stood up and I saw the blood.
So the photo that you're looking at shows the gunman up on that nearby rooftop, which is now at the center of this ongoing investigation here. The FBI now identifying that gunman as Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park.
I can't believe they're showing this picture. This is like horrific.
Pennsylvania. That's just about a 45-minute drive away from where this all happened. The shooter was up on that roof, I'm told, by the state police for a, quote, very short amount of time before he fired that weapon. The 20-year-old was a registered Republican, according to state voting records, which is new information rolling in this morning. So again, how close was Crooks able to get here? Well, he was up on that rooftop of that AGR building, which is a local business. That's about 200 yards or 2 football fields away from the stage where the former president was speaking. Then a U.S. Secret Service counter sniper took him out up on that rooftop, people screaming and shouting, trying to run for cover. Investigators haven't said yet what the motive was here for this shooter. Police are searching that gunman's house this morning. Take a look there on your screen. This is in Bethel Park. There were reports that neighbors were actually told to get out of the area during the search. We also know last night I went over to a nearby area, Bill and Dana, that there was a car parked nearby that a couple sources say he might have been parked. The shooter might have parked nearby, like just on a street a couple blocks away and then walked.
They got to investigate everything about the shooter. Who was his brother, sister, mother, father, everything got to come out.
Over. No word yet on exactly how he was able to just walk up onto that area and then get up onto that local business's rooftop. Sources telling me, though, that they're still looking into that. Again, though, this morning, Donald Trump saying it was God alone that prevented the unthinkable from happening. I mean, you could see how shaken up the crowd was, but it was amazing to watch him go down, come up with blood on his ear, and then put his fist up in the air and say, fight, fight, fight. You cover these rallies, you never know what's going to happen, but walking in, it seemed like an average Trump rally. So many people
a real miracle, and we all got to see it. It's crazy.
Excited, and it ended in gunfire. It was a horrible, horrible day.
Extraordinary. Alexis, I don't know what your location is there, but if you can, and it's a big area, can you give us a sense of relativity from where you are, some sort of show and tell?
Yeah. So where I am is kind of parked because it's all closed off since it's still an active crime scene. But I'm going to have my photographer, Fetzer, kind of push in here a little bit because this is, Bill, that building that you're talking about, that we've seen on the map and how things are laid out. That's the AGR building. So that is the 2-story structure that this gunman was able to get up on top. And then the former president was speaking just a short, walk away from there. 200, like we said, 2 football fields. So the fact that this was outside of the perimeter, fine, but people are still wondering today, like, how was anyone even able to get up on a rooftop around here? We saw the snipers throughout the day that were up there while Trump was speaking and before he was speaking, surveying.
So a bunch of conspiracy theories are going to come out. Some people saying that it was fake. Some people are going to say that it was planned and there was motive. It's crazy.
In the area, they checked everybody's bags and everything before they came in, but you don't account for, people don't think about when Cummins driving here in this neighborhood, like we're at this Sheetz gas station, and then there's this farmland here, Dollar General, some housing. So there were areas that this guy could have basically just walked right through and entered through those fairgrounds. This is also kind of right where his motorcade too pulled up Trump.
And from that building, where was the stage yesterday?
About 200 yards. So it just a little bit past. So you can see the, I don't know if you can see the crane at all, Bill. Okay. That's kind of where they had that American flag hanging there, but those were the cranes that were kind of putting that up and down. So it's just a short walk away. And, hearing all these people saying that they possibly spotted that gunman walking through the buildings, tried to alert security. The police telling me yesterday that he was only up there for a short amount of time, but he was up there long enough to fire shots and nearly assassinate former President Trump, Bill.
Well done. Good work, Alexis. Talk to you a bit later. And again, last night in the thick of all of it. Thank you, Alexis McAdams there in Butler, PA.
Yeah.
And the FBI has taken the lead in the investigation of the assassination attempt on former President Trump. David Spunt is live in Washington with the latest. Do we have any more information about the possible motive here?
We don't have anything officially, and we continue to press officials really multiple times an hour. Dana and Bill, Alexis McAdams is about the closest that you can get to this scene right now. It's still an active crime scene. The Bureau does not want people coming and going, tampering with any evidence in any way. Here in Washington, fingers are being pointed, and the top law enforcement agencies, the FBI and Secret Service, are asking tough questions of themselves this morning. And police continue to search the suspect's home and talk to family, friends, anyone who knew this guy. Authorities identified him, as we've been saying, that 20-year-old from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, shot to death by a Secret Service sniper. The motive, as I said, still not officially known. He was a 2022 graduate of Bethel Park High School. Agents swarmed his home earlier today. They're still there. He was not on the radar of police.
He wasn't somebody who had a criminal record, from what we understand.
Correct. That's
so he wasn't on your radar.
No, he was not.
The FBI now in the lead of the investigation. I've been on the phone with sources this morning. FBI Director Chris Wray personally briefed President Biden and his national security team about what they know so far.
Anywhere that Trump goes from now on is going to be double heavily protected. This man needs to be protected at all costs.
Authorities are certain about two things, Dana. The first, this was an assassination attempt, full stop. Second, they believe this was a lone wolf attack. No one else is involved. They haven't seen any evidence of that. The question, though, how could the suspect armed with a gun on a roof get such a clear shot of the former president?
Yeah.
This was outside the security perimeter, but still it was close enough. The spokesman for the Secret Service telling Fox News this morning, it's not true that the agency refused to provide Trump's team with extra security. Anthony Guglielmi saying, quote, the assertion that a member of the former president's security team requested additional security resources that the U.S. Secret Service or the Department of Homeland Security rebuffed is absolutely false. In fact, recently, the U.S. Secret Service added protective resources and capabilities to the former president's security detail. The former president and the current president are commonly subject to threats. The U.S. Secret Service takes threats seriously, and it takes actions based on those threats as warranted. Now, the FBI knows people have cell phone video. They may have even seen this shooter long before or shortly before the shooting. What was he doing in the moments leading up to it? Half an hour before the shooting. They're asking anyone with that information to call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Dana, Bill?
David Spunt, thank you so much. And as we mentioned, Selena Zito, she is a nationally syndicated political reporter. She was covering the rally last night when the bullets broke out. She says she felt the bullets whiz right past her. And that's her right there on the ground being shielded by the Secret Service. She joins us now. What you might not realize from that photograph, and if you haven't read her amazing first-person account in the Free Press this morning, she was there with her daughter, who is a photographer, and her son-in-law as well. Selena, thank you for being with us today. You were there. You were supposed to be interviewing the president, and shots rang out. And 6 minutes into this, you said in the piece this morning that I read that you're trained as a journalist to do a 360-degree view of and observe and see what is going on, but you don't always look for danger. I'm grateful you're okay and grateful that you're here with us today. Take us through what it was like in those moments.
So I started, I interviewed, I didn't interview, I talked to President Trump probably about 5 minutes before he went out into the stage. I was set to fly back to Bedminster with him and do a comprehensive interview, but he wanted to say hello right before the event. So I went into the holding room right behind the stage. We said hi. He talked a little bit about how excited he was to be in Pennsylvania.
You know, this moment in history, it's just going to remind you, where were you when this was going on? Saturday night, 6 o'clock. It looked like the world was about to come to an end, because if he would have died, it would have been uglier.
Pennsylvania. He was looking forward to the interview, asked how I was doing, you know, your normal kind of chit chat that you have. Then I went out into the bumper. The bumper is sort of a well that goes across, goes around the stage with the president and separates you from the event attendees. And you're able to get really close, you know, sort of intimate shots of the president, your feet, sometimes inches, depending on his movement from him. And you know, we were there to take shots for our story, and then we were going to go off and then meet and go with him to Bedminster. I was to his, I never know what stage left and stage right is. I feel like it's the opposite of what you think it is. But I was about 3 feet away from him with my daughter and with my son-in-law. And when you just heard the pop, 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 and the president, you could see the just this sort of red streak on his face. But he didn't have a crumbling effect. You know, they often say these, when people see a traumatic event, that it goes in slow motion. They're absolutely right.
Trump is like a gift from God. This man came that close to dying and still continues to fight for this country. That's crazy.
And so I immediately saw the law enforcement surround him. They formed the protective shield around him. They took a protective stance, and they had him go down. He did not fall down. And then they made sure everything was all clear. I can hear everything. I can hear the president say, "I need my shoes. I need my shoe." And then the president stands.
Those shoes should sell for like $1 million each. I would love to see those shoes on eBay, or he sells them somewhere, because those are classics. The man screamed for his shoes. That's insane.
And he says, "Fight, fight, fight." I think he actually said it more than 3 times. And he raises his fist, and I'm watching this. I'm right there. And what I thought in that moment, it is that he was trying to, and I think presidents intuitively.
Look at the Secret Service agent struggling to just holster her gun. Crazy. We need somebody better.
Intuitively do this. He wanted people to know it's okay. We're okay. You know, he wanted to project strength, because in that moment, you don't want to feel as though your country is vulnerable. Your president isn't okay. And so I think he did a very effective job in that moment of doing that. The instincts kicked in, and he made sure to let people know that he was okay. That really struck me. Then they brought the president down again in a protective stance. They're all around him. He goes past me. Someone is holding his hat, and it falls to the ground right beside me. And then
I would have picked it up. There's another $1 million hat.
They usher him into the motorcade. That wasn't a Secret Service gentleman. That was actually one of his campaign advance team members. And I will be forever grateful, the sort of protection and worry that he felt. I mean, he was laying on top of me for a good 5 minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
Selena, it's a remarkable recall. And thank you for sharing that with us and with our viewers. We're looking.
Classic picture right there. Crazy.
At a photo of him underneath that podium that is iconic yet again, and just think about the series of images that were captured in that 2.5-3 minute period. It's truly remarkable to see it now.
Wow.
You mentioned a little bit about what you heard. You wrote that you heard the bullets whiz by your head. Just explain what that was. And I'd also like to know, were you around those who were critically injured, or the one person was killed?
No, they were off. Yeah, and so the people that were killed were past the president. So I heard pop, pop, pop. Someone that's been around guns all my life. I knew exactly what the sound was. Sometimes people think it's fireworks, but I knew what the sound was. And then I knew the second set of shots were of a different caliber. You could tell that there was a difference. I'm not savvy enough to know, to be able to say, oh, well, that was this and this was that. But I could tell that they were different. It was a different gun being used in the second round of shots.
Selena, a few years ago, you covered a Trump rally at this same location.
That was a great picture, by the way. That's the picture he got to use in all campaigns now. Wherever he goes, in every commercial.
Pennsylvania, like the back of your hand. You grew up there. And at the time, you wrote that the people here, I guess this was 2016, take him seriously, not literally. And that's become kind of a theme as people try to understand the Trump presidency. So I just wanted to get your sense, maybe zoom out a little bit, about your sense of that moment and that day and what that meant to come back to Butler, Pennsylvania, where he has a stronghold of support in that county, and just talk about the people who were there. Like, it looked like a rock concert beforehand.
I live in Pennsylvania, and I'll tell you right now, Trump won PA. As a matter of fact, he's going to win every state after this.
I mean, there's so many people there. They're so excited. And in this moment, because you have such a way with words and a sense of what they are feeling, would love to get your take on that for everyone.
So it was held in a farm field. It's at the Farm Show Complex. Butler County is a great county for him to project who he's trying to reach, because it's a county that has both wealthy suburbs but it is outside the realms of Allegheny County, which is where Pittsburgh is. It also has 160,000 acres of farmland. It's also a working class area. There is a steel mill, a Cleveland Cliffs steel mill that is there. It's right across the state line from Ohio, from East Palestine, from Mahoning Valley. So there's a lot of sort of sense of, if you wanted to understand who was the coalition that supports Donald Trump, he picked a place that is both emotionally and politically very much reflective of the voters that would support him, a coalition of all different kinds of voters.
Selena, it is really good to hear from you today. Your story is very important. I apologize, we don't have more time for it, but you're exactly right on that last point. You could draw a triangle between Butler, PA, Pittsburgh, and East Palestine, and it's all 45 minutes to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And these are rural voters, and they're the backbone of his political movement going back to 2016. Selena, thank you. We look forward to seeing you.
Thank God you're okay.
Very soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to the sprawling investigation right now. It is underway after that gunman tried to kill the former president. The attack sending shockwaves around the globe, as you can imagine. We are very early into this story.
Look at this. A billionaire, Donald Trump, that doesn't have to do this. He could be playing golf somewhere, just enjoying life. Instead, crazy, almost killed.
Stay with us. Developments as we get them all morning, afternoon, and evening long. Well after midnight last night at the White House. The president arriving back from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, late into the evening. We'll see whether or not we see or hear from him again today. He did speak with the president last night, President Trump, a few hours after the shooting. And Edward Lawrence, Fox Business, is live at the White House to bring us up to speed on what's happening there now and what may happen today. Edward?
Wasn't it past Biden's bedtime? What is he doing?
Good morning.
Exactly. And Bill, well, first of all, our thoughts and prayers with the person who died just watching President Trump's rally, the two that are critically injured. And our thoughts are with former President Trump, who was there trying to give his speech centimeters away, as you've pointed out earlier, from being killed by that bullet. Now, the president spoke to former President Trump late last night before coming early this morning to the White House. He came back to the White House and was briefed now, will be briefed in about 20 minutes or so, again, about this from law enforcement, as well as from the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. Now, no public comments on the president's schedule yet, but here's the Biden from yesterday.
Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this.
President's schedule today. So far, we'll have to see if that holds. Bill?
All right, Edward. Thank you. Edward Lawrence from the White House today. Thanks. Dana?
Fox has learned that the House Homeland Security Committee is expected to hold a hearing next week on the assassination attempt. It comes amid lots of questions for the Secret Service and the FBI special agent in charge of the Pittsburgh field office.
Like what took so long to shoot the guy that was about to shoot Donald Trump? This was really unprecedented.
Asked about the response last night.
Is this a failure of security?
Really, at this point, we're not going to make that assessment. A lot of things need to occur investigatively to make those determinations of what, if any, failures there were.
You can't say if Secret Service had checked those buildings or we're keeping a close eye or...
Really have to defer to Secret Service for those questions.
Why are there Secret Service agents here right now for this press conference?
So Secret Service wasn't available for the press conference at this time.
There are many questions. And how was such a clear line of sight left unsecured? Tim Miller is a former Secret Service agent. Paul Morrow is a retired NYPD inspector and a Fox News contributor. Tim, let me start with you. Based on your experience and what you've been able to glean from what we have seen, what do you think the answer to that question is? How did they miss a shooter on a roof with a clear line of sight to the president?
Well, Dana, let me say on the front end, it was a clear miss. There's no way you can explain what happened. I've done hundreds of these site assessments. One of the primary things that you do, obviously, we learned from 1963 with the assassination of President Kennedy that high places are a problem. And so the fact that this roof was not covered, typically we will cover it for certain visually, but if not, in some cases, we'll post somebody there. So this is a big miss, and there are a lot of questions that need to be answered in regards to the site advance, in regards to the posting assignments, and especially in regards to actually what they did within the split seconds that an unidentified gunman was seen on the roof.
Yeah. This is a developing story, as our viewers clearly understand. And Paul, I want to get your comment in this moment, but Melania Trump has just put out a statement on X. It begins by saying, "I'm thinking of you now, my fellow Americans," and it goes on for several paragraphs. So we'll try and get this to you. The winds of change have arrived, is what she says toward the end. "For those of you who cry in support, I thank you. I commend those of you who have reached out beyond the political divide. Thank you for remembering that every single politician is a man or a woman with a loving family." That's from Melania Trump right now. Paul, I'm going to play this clip.
Your man got the greatest pictures. Look at that. Every single picture he got there. Just amazing.
For viewers at home, they may have seen it if they're on social media. This was an interview that was conducted by the BBC moments after the shooting. It appears to be slightly outside the perimeter, and this gentleman says that he saw this man. It's only one interview. There are others, but let's play this clip, and I'll ask you about it next.
We noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at
I wonder what's bear crawling.
The guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, "Hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle." And the police are like, "Huh, what?" Like they didn't know what was going on.
Well, he wasn't the only one, Paul. Here's what I don't understand. If you right now were to go to that podium where Trump was standing yesterday evening and to look out across that farm field, you would see in pure sight that building that was just a couple hundred yards away. And you'd have to ask yourself, am I vulnerable because of that building there?
Well, that's right. Look, the initial point of failure here occurred well before Donald Trump ever appeared at that lectern, and that's the site survey. Before you have an event like this, the service, that is the Secret Service, goes out, they do a site survey, multiple site surveys in many instances. They do it in conjunction with the state and locals in case they need extra resources. Here in New York City, they always had the benefit of the fact that the NYPD was very large. They have their own ESU team, SWAT teams. And so there are a lot of resources available to them, but they make the call as to what has to be covered because they're the experts. And then they have this layering where they funnel the crowd in from the outer perimeter. They set up a perimeter, but inside that perimeter, it's the service that has the ticket on the body, on the principal. And that's why they were right by Donald Trump, responded so quickly and heroically. Let's not forget that, threw their bodies in harm's way. But the outer area that had vantage to that lectern was not covered. There's just no way to sugarcoat that. And I have to segue not only into the investigation of the event for things like, are we looking at the crime scene? Do all the bullets matched, let's say, the gun that we have recovered? You know, there are other things that are going to go on at the scene. But then also we need an investigation of what went on beforehand and what failed here. And I have to say, I think that the agents on the ground can handle it. But we're not hearing from the Secret Service, and this is the kind of vacuum that conspiracy theories grow in, and that's what we don't want.
Yeah.
We want facts and clarity.
That hearing will take place right now, a week from tomorrow, and it will be a public hearing in Capitol Hill.
There's a lot of people already saying that it was all fake, that Trump did this just to become more popular, and that he made it up. Crazy.
To both of you, Tim Miller,
Thank you.
Paul Morrow, thank you for your input now. We got to get a quick break. More coming up here. Dana.
Something that said, take a look at what happened.
That was like 5 shots. Look at the photographer. The best picture ever.
There were about 15,000 rally goers, and Timothy Ford was one of them. He was at the rally about 50 feet from the stage. If you're looking at the podium, Timothy would have been off to the left about 30 yards when he heard the gunfire and gathered the people who'd come with and ran for cover. He's back in Pittsburgh, PA now, and he joins us. And Timothy, it is great to see you. Good morning.
Thank you.
Take our viewers
Thank
through.
you. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Take our viewers through your experience, Timothy.
So I went up with my brother and 2 of our friends, and I was right on the left side, as you said, all the way pushed up against the fence if you're looking at the stage. So I had a good view. I was probably, I don't know, like 30, 50 feet from the stage and only 50 yards, maybe 100 yards from the building. And I was just watching Trump like everyone else. I was enamored. I've never seen Trump in person before. I was just enjoying myself. And my brother got my attention. He said, look to your left. What's going on over there? And there was like a bunch of Secret Service agents running in an open field and people looking confused, right? But I said, oh, who cares? It's probably a drunk guy, whatever. And I looked back towards the stage and I saw the sniper on the barn scoping in. And from that point on, I knew there could be real danger if a shot was fired. And no more than a minute later, shots were fired. I hear a pop, pop, pop from my left. And then 2 seconds later, I hear the 50 cows.
This is crazy. Now, there's some people who think this is all a conspiracy, who don't believe that it actually happened. Take a look at Amanda Seal, just trying to get likes.
And has put out an apology video. Play the clip. Please tell me she already deleted this and has put out an apology video. Play the clip.
That shit was more staged than a Tyler Perry production of Medea Runs for President. I lived in Harlem long enough to know that gunshots do not sound like making popcorn on the stove.
It wasn't a regular gun. It's a sniper gun. What do you know about the sound of a sniper gun?
Where'd the blood come from?
Oh my God.
So in theater, in movies, they have what's called blood pellets.
And you want that good of
They
an
even,
actor
you know,
anyway.
people use them in Halloween. It's basically a pellet of fake blood that's in your mouth, and when you
People are evil.
crush it,
You ought to
the
be
blood
ashamed
comes
of
out.
yourself.
To be frank, Small Hands Trump would not respond by raising his fist in the air triumphantly were an actual attempt made on his life. This was, I believe, done to try to show his strength counter to Biden's fragility. Ba-dum-bum. Oh my God. Molly, you in danger, girl.
Amanda Seals, tell that to the Trump supporter who tragically lost his life because he just wanted to go to a rally and cheer support for his president. I wonder if these people are going to be treated like Alex Jones was treated for just suggesting that it was fake. I think that the family of the murder rally attendee should sue her for $1 billion. Man, I'm telling y'all, these people are evil. My condolences goes out to those who were injured and harmed, and most definitely goes out to the family members of the victim, the Trump supporter that just wanted to go to a rally to support his president that lost his life. Vote Trump 2024. Remember, folks, for more mean tweet commentary, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
As you can see, the conspiracy theory is already coming out. All the people that are saying that everything that happened at the rally was fake, that Trump made it all up, and that they just ignore the fact that people were killed and some people were shot. And all the news that is coming out, look at her just lying. And that's the beginning of conspiracy theories. But what do you think? Comment down below. We are living in some sad times, some historical times. And this is crazy. Vote Trump 2024. I'm going to agree with that man and just say we got to vote Trump in. I think he's going to win in a landslide. Look at all the videos that were made about this. The Secret Service got to get fired.
Finally, before I let you go, we're facing an unusual situation. The sentencing decision for former President Trump has been delayed now until September, but I know that you have to be planning for at least the possibility that a former president is going to have to spend time in jail. Is there a plan in place? How exactly would it work?
So the Secret Service has the responsibility of protecting all of our protectees, no matter where they are. So we would come up with an appropriate plan.
So they're talking about sending Trump to jail. And I could only assume that this was before the shooting.
That situation arise.
Is it possible to protect a former president in jail?
I think that we have the responsibility of protecting our folks, no matter where they are. And so we will figure out how to strike that balance.
She would know. The 28-year veteran was on the team that evacuated Vice President Dick Cheney on 9/11, and she served on then Vice President Biden's protective detail. He named her director in mid-2022. Amid a swirl of controversy over the agency deleting nearly all of its text messages from January 6th. The agency says that was due to a data migration.
System migrations happen. But I think for a lot of Americans, it just doesn't pass the smell test, given the timing and the volume of messages deleted.
Well, it's unfortunate that that would be the assumption that people would make. Our integrity is everything, and there was nothing nefarious attached to that.
Their integrity.
U.S. Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle must resign. She was warned about this. She ignored the warnings, and then he doubles down. I want to repeat and can absolutely confirm the U.S. Secret Service Director, Kim Cheadle, has repeatedly turned down requests for a larger security footprint around President Trump, despite knowing the threat level is catastrophic.
She got to resign, man, because we need more protection.
Resign tonight.
All right, guys. So once again, we got to follow up on the fallout surrounding the failed assassination attempt of former President Trump, where I feel like every 5 minutes I am thanking God that Trump did not get hit fatally by that would-be sniper. However, I do unfortunately have to report that a hero did die that day, and the hero is identified as ex-volunteer fire chief Corey Comparator, ID'd as Trump's sniper victim. He was shielding his daughter from the assassin's bullets as he was trying to assassinate the president. As you can see here, this is the fire chief, again, 50 years old, served for the Buffalo Township. He was shot and killed by Thomas Matthew Crooks, a 20-year-old lunatic, while he was attending the Trump rally. And 2 other people were wounded as well, too. Again, my thoughts and prayers are with the family. And again, this is just a tragic moment in American history that we really have to wonder how in the world was this allowed to happen in the first place, which is why you have the director of the Secret Service, Ms. Kim Cheadle, who was appointed by Biden, getting a whole lot of backlash and calls to resign over the fact that, again, this was allowed to happen. And I use the word.
She should resign. She should have been on top of things. But no, she's looking at other things. Come on now.
Allowed on purpose, because to me, I find it very, very, very hard to believe that what is supposed to be the best security in the world, right? Security that you can't buy, okay? This security allowed an individual, a would-be assassin, to get on top of an elevated surface 200 to 300 yards away from the former president of the United States while he's speaking on a stage with direct sight on the president to allow for a clean attempt to assassinate the president without spotting the guy first and stopping it, or shooting a guy before he can shoot the president, or just not allow him on that rooftop in the first place, right? I just have a hard time believing that this guy so easily got around what is supposed to be the best security in the world, security that money can't buy.
It doesn't get any better.
Go up as a counter sniper, we put together what we call range fans for our range card. We usually keep it right next to us. It's an overlay of the area, usually a satellite image, and it has our 100-yard line, our 200-yard line, our 300-yard line, and we identify the buildings and the areas for potential threat in those, so that when you do identify a threat, you don't have to actually what they call milling out, which is to determine the distance of that actual target. You have it within your range fan. You can quickly glance down and say, roughly 200, and you can dial your elevation, look at your windage, make your call, and then fire your shot. Look, at 230 yards, which is what this is being estimated by, we have to bear in mind something. An AR-15 or any rifle of that matter has what they call minutes of angle, which means what the capability of the rifle is. A standard rifle, which is a basic rifle's capabilities, is 1 MOA, which means for every 100 yards is 1-inch grouping capabilities. You're talking about that at 230 yards, the average shooter could actually point at a target, fire 5 to 6 rounds, and somewhere within that group would be about a 2.3-inch grouping at 230 yards. The average life-size man target is a 20 by 40, 20 shoulder to shoulder, 40 waist to head. President Trump obviously is a much larger guy. He's a much taller guy. So it is by miracle and divine intervention that he is not killed today. And so there was a failure in the breach of security. I will identify that immediately. I will tell you that we always take the high ground for your overwatch positions. You always look at what the ability is to see the crowd so that you can mitigate threats at an elevated position. And one of the areas why you look at high angle fire shooting is also the direction and trajectory of the bullet itself. It's not like shooting at a flat trajectory where you have over penetration. You can get other individuals. This is going to eventually just hit into the ground. So the oversight on this is that you're talking about 230 yards, which is nothing for a shot, adjacent to the stage of the president. And there was no one on that building. No one, even if you're not going to put anyone on the building, staying next to the building to ensure there's no access to the building. So I'm glad that the speaker is going to do an investigation on this because I think that it's warranted. I think that I applaud again what the Secret Service detail had done, what the Counter Sniper CS team has done. But I will tell you, this is a massive security breach, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of people have questions about what's going on with the Secret Service, and those questions are legitimate because the Secret Service is getting exposed as a DEI operation that seems to be incompetent. Right? It's being ran by somebody that clearly is not cut out for the job, and they are hiring people that a lot of people are questioning whether or not they are qualified for.
I think this job is above her head. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. Let's get somebody else in there
for the job because of videos like this. This happened right as they were taking Trump into his vehicle. People are focused on the women and how they're reacting, the women Secret Service agents. Like, for example, this woman right here who is struggling to holster her gun as she seems to be in panic about what's happening. And again, I get it. People are human. You have a sniper that's trying to kill people. So I get it. You don't know where the threat is coming from. But at the same time, holstering your gun is a very basic thing that every gun owner should know how to do very efficiently and smoothly. I mean, you're always supposed to know where your holster is at. In fact, you're supposed to practice so much that it's like second nature to holster your gun or to unholster your gun. And this woman is out here struggling with something that, again, is extremely basic, right? I mean, this is what is required to be efficient when it comes to using your gun. And you would think that anybody that's working for the Secret Service, okay, this is supposed to be the best security in the world, right? You would think that they could do this in their sleep, right? Without even thinking about it, regardless of whether or not they are under pressure, okay, or under threat. But what you saw there was this woman struggling mightily before she actually got it. And again, a lot of people are wondering, what is going on with this, right? Is this what we should be seeing in America, right? Is this who should be protecting the president of the United States, the former president? But again, this is done on purpose because what we've come to find out is that
woman was struggling, man. Crazy.
DEI has infected the Secret Service to the point where they seem to be hiring based off things that don't have to do with actual qualifications to protect the president of the United States or the former presidents of the United States.
We need nothing but men around the president of the United States ready to take down any enemies, not these DEI hires.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030 and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities.
No, we don't. We need to hire the best candidate, great Secret Service agents.
To everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
That workforce will be pivotal for the 2024 campaign season, which for the first time includes a former president who already has lifetime protection. Agents were there when Donald Trump was arraigned in New York.
We were able to work out the details ahead of time of how that particular day was going to go, but we will always ensure the safety of all of our protectees that we have.
The service has a zero-fail mission, a mission officers are training to uphold, pretending this field is the most famous address in America.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. It is a zero-fail mission, as in you can't fail because any failure is catastrophic, okay? So to me, that would warrant the director, Miss Kim Cheadle, stepping down and resigning because I personally think that DEI should be nowhere near the Secret Service, right?
Even Elon Musk said it. Some people need to get fired. We need to get nothing but the best of the best to be protecting ex-president and president.
Right, when you talk about qualifications to protect the president of the United States, you're talking about having to hire people who not only are very tall, kind of big, because again, their job is to shield the president, right? Their literal job is to take a bullet for the president.
Yep.
To not only just be able to protect him, but to also take a bullet.
Yep.
I would say by definition, you have these shorter women who aren't as strong. They're not going to have the ability to protect the president as much as a male would be able to protect the president, right? I mean, we're just talking about basic common sense stuff, just physical attributes. Unfortunately, again, for women, I just don't think the qualifications are there. But yet, we've seen in this country standards being lowered to get women involved in professions that, quite honestly, for a vast majority of women, from a physical perspective, just physical capability perspective.
Give all the DEI hire and all the women to Biden. Let that man deal with it. He likes it. He likes hiring the women. We'll give it to them and give all the strong men to Trump.
They are not qualified for. I'm not saying that no woman is qualified. What I'm saying is that most likely a male is going to be more qualified when you look at it from just a qualifications perspective. You're talking about protecting the president of the United States. There's nothing wrong with having an all-male Secret Service. In fact, if I was the president of the United States, if I was Trump, that is what I would be most comfortable with, right? And if
I would request nothing but men, all taller than me, all stronger than me. Let's go.
You assign a woman to protect me, then I'm going to be asking for her resume, right? I'm going to make sure she passed all of the tests that the men had to pass with the exact same qualifications and standards, okay? That's what I would be doing because we know that in
that girl right there just looks scared. Like, what the hell am I doing here?
order to hit these diversity quotas that apparently the Secret Service has in some police departments across the country, they're lowering the standards. They're not making the women have to meet the same standards that the men make when it comes to the physical test. And that's a problem. That's a huge issue. It's not something that I would be comfortable with personally. Okay. If I had to hire a security detail, if they tell me, hey, you're going to have a woman protecting you, then I'm going to make sure for certain that she's not a DEI hire, that she passed every qualification. She's met the standards that are necessary to be in that position, that she did not get a handout or that, standards were lowered to get her on the team just so you can woke a virtue signal. So again, a lot of people are asking questions and they're demanding answers for what happened here. A would-be assassin fired up to 8 times at former President Donald Trump from an obvious perch with clear sight lines, leaving a troubled nation asking, how could the Secret Service let this happen? Pressure is already mounting on Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle to answer for the attack on the GOP candidate for president, and experts are also criticizing the movements of his federal agents in the field as they struggle to get Trump to safety. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer has announced that his panel will call Cheatle for a hearing July 22nd. It's not soon enough. Right? We need answers now because we don't know how many of these lunatics are out here. And we need somebody in charge that actually understands and knows how to protect the former president of the United States. Right? So waiting a whole week, in my opinion, is way too long. She needs to be answering questions now. She needs to be stepping down now because she failed at her job. And you only got one job. Okay? And you failed. So again, I think personally, she should be resigning. She should be packing her bag because there's also claims that Trump requested more security before this and his requests were denied. So let's read here. A Republican lawmaker, Representative Mike Waltz of Florida, publicly claimed that very reliable sources told him there had been requests from Trump's camp for more robust security for him. Waltz alleged that Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas denied those requests. Now, again, if this is true, he should resign as well, too. Right? Republicans need to impeach this guy again and have him removed. Right? And any Democrat that votes against it should say, hey, well, they're totally fine with this guy failing at his job and potentially having the former president of the United States killed in an assassination attempt. And that would not be hyperbole because that is what happened. Again, if this is true, this guy should step down or be impeached again, and or the Secret Service, the head of the Secret Service also should step down or be fired. Okay? I think if Biden wants to make a statement about unity, right? They talk about unifying the country, fire the director of the Secret Service. That's the first thing that you have to do, right? If you really want to make a statement about unity and show that you really care about the safety of the former president, people have to be fired and changes have to be made immediately. Okay? Immediately. Secret Service Rep Anthony Guglielmi dismissed those allegations without naming Waltz directly. Quote, there's an untrue assertion that a member of the former president's team requested additional security resources and that those were rebuffed. This is absolutely false. In fact, we added protective services and technology and capabilities as a part of the increased campaign travel tempo. The Secret Service.
You know, last night was a UFC fight. Just wanted to talk about that. And Trump was supposed to be there with Dana White, but Trump didn't make it to the rally. That would have been unprecedented. That after getting shot, show up to a UFC rally? Epic.
Spokesman said, well, if that's the case, then it failed, right? And whatever technology you were using, you should stop using that and stop paying the company for providing it, right? Something.
All right, I'm going to pause it right there, and that's the Black Conservative. I'm going to leave a link to his video down below. He points out a lot of great things, and yes, what the Secret Service did right there, they almost got the president killed. It was a miracle that he didn't die, but we're living in historic times. So comment down below if you like this video. I'm going to try to bring you the news, and as you just saw, we got some real news coming out, and we got some conspiracy theories coming out. And then we also got people talking about the Secret Service. The head of the Secret Service needs to resign because she really dropped the ball on this one. What the hell was she thinking? The only reason Trump is alive right now is all a miracle. Now, today is Sunday. Tomorrow, Monday, is the RNC. They're going to be meeting every day next week. And by Thursday is when Trump is going to speak and say thank you and I accept your endorsement. And that's when we're going to have a Republican nominee. And Trump has been through a lot. A lot. The man got convicted as a felon, and now they attempted to kill him. But I'm Trump 2024. What do you think? Comment down below. Make sure you like this video. And I'm just beside myself. This is amazing.
Verbal or life.
All right. Let's see if I can post this video up on Verbal on Life, my other channel. Hopefully I get more views because this is amazing times we're living in. And can't be denied. Peace.